Good evening, Galveston. I'm Lauren Scott, Executive Director of the Harrison Eliza Kempner Fund and Chair of the Galveston Roundtable of Foundations for 2019. I want to welcome you all to the State of the City, and thank you for coming out. And thank you for joining us via the live stream. Before we get started, and I pass the mic over to the City Manager and the Mayor, I want to thank Dr. Miles Shelton with Galveston College. And special thanks to the following Galveston College staff for helping coordinate this wonderful event, including Debbie Mann, Joel Espinoza, and Jose Garcia. And also special thanks to the City of Galveston team, especially Marissa Barnett, the Public Information Officer, and Adri Ritchie, Communications Specialist with the City. And special thanks also to Maureen Patton, who's joining us and will help facilitate the Q&A later. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic over to City Manager Brian Maxwell and Mayor Yarborough. Thank you.
My detriment, I'm going to stand up and talk to you, then I probably won't be able to read this. But anyway, thank y'all for coming tonight. This is the fifth one of these, I believe, or sixth one of these. My how time flies. But we appreciate you coming. As this has evolved, it's evolved more into an open house for the city, more so than the state of the city. And you're going to see that reflected in how we handle the programs. There's a lot of things in the city that really interest me and I get really into, but I'm sure most of you don't really get as excited as I do about depth of asphalt, size of rebar in streets, how much sewage we can put in the pipe. So I'm going to kind of spare you on a lot of the upfront talk. But I do want to point out to you before we start tonight, if you look on either side of the room, we've set up what we call our pro tables. These are all the people at the city that make things work. They are the ones that if you have an issue tonight, a specific issue that we would like you to talk to, you can find every facet of city government represented on each end of the room. If these folks can't answer your questions, they will get you an answer. And if they can't get you an answer, they're going to make one up. So that's who I encourage you to talk to tonight. Also, I want to point out to you, if you look on your seats, you're going to find a little program tonight. You're going to find a decal. We'd like you to proudly display that decal for a little while for us. You can see it has a hashtag GTown180. There's two meanings to that. First and foremost, I don't know how many of you know this, but this is our 180th birthday as a city. She's old, but she's still real pretty. That's right. We'd like you to help celebrate with that. And there's another little catch on there that I'd like you to look at. It says that the turnaround continues. We like to think that as our island ages out, as the demographics change, as the businesses evolve, we're constantly trying to improve. We're constantly trying to turn this big ship around and make it what you want it to be. So that's why we have these, and there's more of these available if you want to. If you want more, please see Marissa Barnett. She's at the pro table. We'll get you as much of that information as you can. But let's not forget we're 180 years old. We need to be proud of it. There's always so much going on in the city. I don't know if you realize this or not, but there is not a day that goes by, that's granted, that a street is not being paved or resurfaced in Galveston right now. The 2020 budget that I'm getting ready to present to council has over $32 million in street projects in it. Now I will tell you, when I came to you 6 years ago, and I just became city manager, when I first came to the city, actually before I was city manager, our total streets budget was $100,000. So you can figure out why the streets kind of looked the way they did. It was nobody's fault, it just went that way.
That's funny. That's not.
Yeah, that's funded. That's $32 million funded. We're waiting, right now we're actually under study right now. Every 2 years we do a complete assessment of all our streets. We do a complete report card on our progress. We're awaiting our most recent PCI score. Our PCI score has risen dramatically since we've been here. That's the score that's awarded to all of our streets, both individually and aggregate. Individually, we use that score to determine which streets we pave and in what order we pave them. There's a lot that goes into that. Traffic on the street, condition of the street. There's a whole lot that goes into it. But anyway, that score is getting ready to be released, and I suspect it'll be released and we'll have one of the higher scores in the area for sure. Drainage remains a top priority for us. We are awaiting FEMA approval right now for our first gravity-fed drainage system. We're going to be installing our first pump station on the island, hopefully here pretty quick. We've already gone out and selected or asked for bids for engineers to look at this. This will be on the far east end. This is being awarded to us and being paid for hopefully by FEMA as a result of Hurricane Harvey. While we really dodged the bullet on Hurricane Harvey versus some of our friends and neighbors up north, we still sustained some pretty major flooding in the downtown area going east. So, and that actually got into structures. So we think this is going to be a big plus to us. We're really hopeful on that. In addition to that, we're still moving forward with the project which we call the 18th Street Basin Project. And we're not looking at this as a particular street. These are all basin projects, meaning we're doing these projects not to solve a drainage problem on any one street, but in an entire basin. And the 18th Street Basin will spread into downtown on the eastern side of it and go all the way back down to about 16th Street, all the way back up to Broadway to pick up some of that drainage. That one's actually 60% complete in design, so we'll be starting that one in the spring. So we're actually really excited about that as well. A few other things just to tick off the list. We talked to you last year. I said one of the biggest threats the city is facing are some of the issues we have with our pensions. I'm happy to report to you that as we stand here today, our pension problems have been resolved. No longer does the police have to worry about senior pension, no longer does the firemen. Well, firemen had a pretty good pension to begin with, and nor do the civilians. They're all in really good shape, and they're all set up to stay that way, and they're set up to adjust that way. So hopefully, future politicians don't have to worry about that. So it wasn't cheap, it wasn't easy, but it's done. And thanks to Representative Middleton, who's here for all his help on that. He was a big help for us. We are going to be facing some different budgetary constraints next year. The state has passed some constraints on our growth. The only concern I really have with that is that as it looks right now, our public safety costs will probably outstrip our growth ability in terms of that. So it's going to bring on some changes and some adjustments for us. And we're up to that. We're already making adjustments this year. And we'll continue to make those adjustments. But the last thing we will ever do is try to reduce services. And that's my main focus since I've been here and will continue to be as long as I'm here, is that you get exemplary service. And if you're not getting exemplary service, first tell people to protest. Second, if you don't feel satisfied with that, let me know, and we will make sure that happens. Lastly, before I turn the mic over to the mayor, I want to point out that there's a table over here from Vision Galveston.
I'm here.
She's over here.
I'm here right now.
She doesn't fit over there because she's with child. But she has, Keith Jacoby has worked so hard on this. And I want to tell you, this is not something to be taken lightly. This is not just another flash in the pan for the city of Galveston. This is what I literally, as a 50-year-old living in Galveston, multi-generational, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you to have a voice in what happens with the city of Galveston going forward. There's a lot of components. There's a lot more to be done. But we've already cast a very wide net. I mean, there's already more people who have participated and given input in Vision Galveston than voted. And I think that's a good start. It's going to continue to grow, and we're going to continue to get that impact. This defeated our comprehensive plan. This defeated all the other plans that are currently open and that we're working on. I encourage you to visit the Vision Galveston table. This torch pretty much everywhere for us. She's the head of the United Way here at Galveston. We thank her. And we also thank all of the foundations, all the philanthropic organizations. I can tell you that one place that there's a lot of reasons people envy Galveston. But one of the things that we have that nobody else has is the philanthropic involvement that we're blessed with here in Galveston. And right now, I can tell you, and I mentioned this at the Vision Galveston thing when I was first invited. I don't know how many of you know there's a thing called the Round Table of Foundations. And when I first got invited there, I felt like a kid getting invited to the Hall of Justice, and I was getting ready to meet super friends. But this is a group of all the major philanthropic organizations on the island. And I can tell you once again, in my lifetime, this is the very first time I have ever seen all of these organizations working together to have one common vision for the city of Galveston. That's a lot of support for us to move this thing forward. We're very appreciative of it. Because as I close, I'm going to tell you, a good vision is important, but you cannot have that vision unless you have focus. And that's what they're bringing to us, is more focus on what you want. And please, don't waste this opportunity. If you visit anybody here before you leave, visit that table and let us hear from you on that, because everything goes into our comprehensive plan, and it's so critical for us, for you to be involved. Thank you for coming tonight. This is the first time in, 6 years that it's not my mother's birthday. It's tomorrow. So I can actually go out and eat with her for her birthday, for her 75th. But she's here tonight. I appreciate y'all coming. My wife and my daughter are here. And I appreciate y'all.
Good evening. Thank the Round Table Foundation for hosting again for the 6th consecutive year. We think it's an important way for us to hear what you have to say and give you a little bit of update on what we're doing in the city. Miles, Shelton, Board Regents, thank y'all for hosting us again. Great facility. It's a little wonder why y'all are in the top community college in the state for 15 years in a row. And I want to thank all of you. You've let me serve this community a long time, almost 30 years in 3 different jobs. And then we're getting into the last year. I can tell you, the state of the city is good and getting better. No question about it. The trajectory is moving the direction we want. The last 5 years have been good. This year is going to be even better. Contrary to what some people would like, I'm going to work as aggressive and hard all the way until May of 2020. We're going to put full court press on.
So much for my vacation.
That's right. No holidays this year, Brian. When you look back the last 5 years, a lot of good things have happened. They're not a result of one person or a small group. It is truly a collective effort. I thought we were blessed the first 2 years with good counsel. And then the next 2 years, I thought we even had a better counsel. And I'm here to tell you the counsel we have now is as good as you can get. And we're fortunate we have one of the goals when we ran for office was to try to get younger people involved in this community. And we've got 3 council members under the age of 50. I call that young. Unfortunately, the job is not designed for younger people. They've got work and got families. It's a time commitment, it's volunteer. There's a lot of impediments to prevent young people from really serving on council. But we have 3 young people who are making a difference. I mean, I get an email, or not email, but I get a text from Jason Hardcastle twice a week about this or about that. Participatory, we talk about this. New ideas, fresh blood. That's what we need. Dr. Brown has been tremendous to work with. He and I have been here for the whole 6 years together. He's a good man, doing this job for the right reason. He wants to make this community better. Craig is doing it. Thank you. Jackie Cole. I've worked with Jackie Cole for a long, long time. And I've always been impressed with Jackie, and I'm more impressed now having served with her on council together. She's passionate. She does her homework, she's dogged in what she believes, and she's fair about how she does it. So Jackie, you've been great to work with, and I appreciate you. Thank you. I look around the room, I see David Collins. I probably shouldn't admit this in public, but he's been a big surprise. Can I say that in the mic?
It's all right. How else can you say it?
I know David Collins like I know a lot of people. I know him when I see him, we talk, we have a cup of coffee, we say pleasantries as we pass. But I never worked with him, never even know who he was. He has been, I have grown to admire his thought process, his work ethic, his common sense. When he tells you something, he will darn sure try to do it. He has been really a great asset to this council. So David, we appreciate you very much. Having said all of that, the bottom line is we've got management in place, we've got the professionals in place, we've got a good team. We need to continue that. One thing I've learned over the years, folks, and I don't know why we are so damn dumb, but people have a tendency, that must be human nature, they have a tendency to take a snapshot of the way things are right now, and they think it's going to be that way forever. And the reality is going to change by the time we get home and wake up in the morning. Things are not going to stay the same. We've got to be flexible, we've got to be quick, we've got to be diligent to be able to keep up with things. So don't get lazy. Don't think that just because things are going good, we're spending $30 million on your streets next year, that we're going to spend $30 million in 3 or 4 years. We won't do that unless we work at it, unless we make it happen. So we look forward to your questions, and we look forward to another good night here at Galveston College. Thank y'all.
Good evening, everyone. We did this last year, and we want to do it again. This is your mic for asking questions. We ask that you come up here, form a line. I'll kind of feed you to the mic as need be, and you can address your questions to our two men at the podium and get some answers that you're seeking. And if they don't have the answers, they said, the people over here, the people over there have the answers for you. So I invite you, oh, no, you don't want to, no, they don't have, sorry, they don't know, they don't have the answers. So I invite you now to come up. Let's start this line and get the Q&A started. Who's going to be first?
We'll wait on the line. When I refer to pre-owned accounts, I was referring to the Old Testament to the South being this black. I see this black in the back of the room as well.
Okay, I didn't want to be first, but what is the city doing to get free access for residents to Seawolf Park? The park board controls Seawolf Park, and it's the only park that the park board controls that isn't restricted. And they could let residents in for free. They can't let residents in for free on the beaches because they have to treat all Texans alike. But they could let residents in for free to Seawolf Park. So what is the city doing to get free access to Seawolf Park for residents?
You want the truthful answer? Not a damn thing. No, we agree with you, Susan, 100%. Matter of fact, we are working with Kelly and the Park Board on a new park agreement between the city and the Park Board. We haven't made final decisions, but one of the things we hope to put in that agreement is to look at the management of Seawolf Park. There's internal discussions between the Park Board and the city, whether the Park Board ought to continue, whether the city ought to take it back over. We've got some things we'd like to do Seawolf Park for enhancements. We need to get rid of the pavilion. We need to look at how anybody been to Seawolf Park? Huh? God, it's a.
I don't want to pay.
Well, just drive over there and drive back out if you get across the bridge.
Yeah.
But we are looking at, and we are looking to see how we can, because you're right, on beach user free, the GLO won't let us differentiate between a Galvestonian and someone from up in the middle of the state.
You know, the park board looked at how many residents use the park, and it's like none. Because it costs you like $6 or $8 or $10 to drive in.
You see that on 61st Street. You know, we don't charge for that boat ramp, it's packed.
So, you know, I understand with the beaches, but Galvestonians won't pay $6 or $8 or $10 to use their own park.
And again, to reiterate what you said, there's a difference between Seawolf and the beaches. The GLO says, hey, you charge a beach user fee, it's got to be the same for all Texans. Seawolf Park is not into that category, so we do have the ability to differentiate between both locals and tourists or people who don't live here.
You already mentioned that the state legislature put a cap on the amount of revenue that the city is able to get every year through taxes and other levies. Is there a movement now because that's going to affect all the cities in the state, is there a movement to lobby our legislators to see if that can be rescinded because it's really gonna create a lot of problems all across the state.
Again, Joe, the simple answer to your question is no, not yet. It's too early to see what the impact's going to be. Again, I don't, as Brian alluded to, I think on the short run, the next couple of years, you're not going to notice a big impact. But the cumulative effect of those caps are going to come in. And in our case, you know, we get revenue from several sources, one of which is your property taxes. What's the public safety part of our property tax? 50, 60, 70% of your property taxes go to fire and police, EMS. We pay a little bit of parks, a lot of stuff gets paid out of sales tax and other parks. So as you put that lid on the property tax growth, and we're a town that's not going to get a lot of new development, a lot of new money, a lot of new homes being started like elsewhere. We're getting renovations of existing structures. And all those are treated a little different in this tax cap rollback measure. But it's a little too early to tell. We'll see what the impacts are. We're certainly keeping an eye on it, and we'll try to be able to respond appropriately.
Hi, my name is Jeannie Grosso, and I live in Robert Cohen's neighborhood, which is kind of a unique little neighborhood. We're right off the Vita Road, 61st Street, and Office Bio. We have a tremendous problem with flooding, which of course I know the whole island does. But a couple of weeks ago, I looked out and my street was literally a river. Because the drains drain into the bio. When the bio's high, of course they can't drain. But one of our biggest issues is a traffic flow. And I say this all the time, I think whoever is promoting Galveston is doing a fabulous job. So if you're here, I think you're doing a great job getting the tourists here. However, I have a problem with traffic when the tourists are here. My biggest problem with my entire neighborhood, I have actually back up here with you. We have people cutting off the feeder road behind the bait camp. I don't even know the name of that bait camp, it's Blue Building. And they're coming down a private road, turning onto our city street, a 20-mile-per-hour speed zone, they're going 40. And it's dangerous. I went out the other morning just to pick up the newspaper on a Saturday morning. And it didn't take long to pick up the newspaper. 20 cars passed by in that short period of time. All of them were speeding. So we're asking for some help. I know that Wilmont's is one of the streets in our neighborhood that could be blocked. But we have an issue with another street that comes out of this old trailer park property that goes on to 64th Street that needs to be blocked as well. So any help that the city can give us with all this, our drainage issue and our traffic issue, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
I've spoken to this also several times about this, and it's a problem. We've got a bait camp, and the problem is that's where the parking lot exits. Because if you come in and use that bait camp, you can't get out back onto the feeder road, so they're cutting. Some of the legitimate people are cutting back through the neighborhood, and they're city streets. So it's hard to tell people that only people that live on that street can drive on that street. If we could do that, I'd go for it. I'd like it at my house too. But I understand that we're getting this large amount of traffic. We're out there Memorial Day weekend for a couple days. First day, this policeman thought he hit the lottery. He ran out of tickets. I mean, it was that he was writing a ticket and waving them down and waving down another one. And we're going to continue to do that, especially on the weekends as best we can, because enforcement is the best way. Closing off a couple of the streets is fine. I will tell you, most of the tickets we wrote right off the bat with people who live in the neighborhood. So we're going to continue to control it, to do it, and we'll stay on top of it as best we can for Ms. Grosso, because she has my phone number and she'll call me every day. As she should. Thank you.
Yeah, the other thing we're doing along that front, anybody know that we redid 53rd Street, 41st Street, or 45th Street, 43rd? The obvious reason is we wanted that to improve local folks. But the other compatible piece to that is we're working with TxDOT to try to get them to put on their signs that there's more than one way to get to Seawall Boulevard other than 61st Street. Because you can see with TxDOT, we made some signal changes there, the turning and stuff on 61st Street. You've got traffic stacked up on Feeder Road onto the ramp, even down the highway. So we're gonna begin to market, we'll work with our park board partners to market, to try to encourage people not only to come in, but to leave the island. And again, as Ms. Grasso's here this year, there's gonna be somebody on 53rd or 43rd here next year saying you bring too much traffic down my street. That's, that's just who we are. I mean, that's just the niceties and the pains of living in a tourist community where a lot of people want to come. So we are going to be trying to do some things to market some other things that will take some of the load off of that bad spot there at 61st Street.
Good evening. My name is Joe Dinky. I also live in Robert Cohen neighborhood. We are definitely overwhelmed with the traffic there. I appreciate any help you can come up with. Our entire neighborhood has a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit. I think Jeannie was wrong. I think they're doing more like 50. It's not just a shortcut, it's a race to beat the clock around the corner. You're shortcutting in 3 blocks, but they want to be sure that they beat everybody else that's in line for the traffic light. There's one more area of concern, in my opinion, in our neighborhood, and that is the building of the new hotel on 63rd Street. The city helped us in rebuilding the drainage system underneath Avenue L. By the way, Avenue L is 1 lane. It's not big enough for 2 cars. So those cars that are racing through our neighborhood are racing down 1 lane. The street is so narrow, there's no parking on either side. Back to the hotel situation. City helped us rebuild that drainage system, but now we have cement trucks that weigh approximately 80,000 pounds driving over those. There is a truck route that the city has that includes Broadway, Harborside, 61st, Seawall, and such areas as that. It doesn't include Avenue L. We have cement trucks all day long driving over those brand new drainage systems there. And the hotel faces the feeder. Why they can't come through some gates right there and do all their business, they wanted that piece of property because it's on the feeder and it's on Broadway and it's convenient for them. It's not convenient for our neighborhood. We spent a lot of money, the city did, our tax money with that new drainage system, and I'd just like to see us protect and preserve that for our community. Thank you.
Joe, I encourage you to see the police chief right behind you. He'll set somebody up out. We've got a truck enforcement group that'll check it out immediately.
I'll do it.
Hi, I'm Patricia Morrison. I live on 25th, and I've got a speeding problem also. And I was wondering also if there's another way that we could put down besides 25th, go to the pleasure pier. Because when they're going about 45, 50 miles an hour there, and when they're coming back, they want to make the light at O, and so they're going probably about 60. And I hear the wrecks, and they're not good. And I've even had, offered to have a policeman sit on my front porch so that we could stop some of these people from running the red light. It's awful. It's also bad because tourists don't understand that it's the divided boulevard and they're going the wrong way invariably, whichever way, they're going the wrong way. And sometimes they think when we're calling out to them that we're trying to panhandle or something. And what we're trying to do is tell them they're going the wrong way. Okay, one other thing I'd like to talk about is the train on the harbor side. Is there anything we can do about that? I mean, first of all, 22 minutes is average how long we have to sit there.
I will tell you that my deputy city manager lives on Channel Drive. And I hear train stories every day. So I texted him. I said, he's been with me now, 5 years, Dan? So the very first task I gave him, I said, Dan, we got to do something about these trains.
We do.
So we went after it. And we found out that we have a big stick we can wave. The federal government allows us to fine those railroads $5 a day. I totally agree. Because I can tell you right now, I had a crossing on 77th Street, and I had another crossing on Harborside, that if you were on a motorcycle just traveling at the speed limit, you were gonna be Evel Knievel before you got to the other side of that crossing. And, you know, they don't take kindly to the city for repairing their crossings. That tends to cause derailments. But it took everything we had, short of threatening for us to go out there and cut the rails, to get them to even repair a crossing. It is a real problem. I'll tell you another problem. You would think that they would report these things, but a lot of the trains that are coming into Galveston aren't manned. They're remotely controlled. So that's a scary thought. So, I mean, I had a train set when I was a kid. I would have killed to have this one because it's awesome. It comes into the north side of Galveston. But we have been watching this. I can tell you, this past session, I've had the pleasure of getting to visit Representative Middleton a lot in Austin. I can tell you there was nothing good in Austin coming from A&M, and it's a little bit better up there now, but I still haven't been to Austin very too much. But every morning I'd go pick Dan up before we go up there, and I would pray I didn't get caught by one of those trains. Because it is every bit of 20 minutes. Because when you get to the last car, they back up. And then you get to see all those cars again. I memorized the graffiti on them. It was really quite interesting. But we have tried everything. We're going to continue to work on that. And actually, we have got Sally Backham, who I don't know if she's here tonight or not. That's one of her list of things to do on federal lobbying work, is to work with them to get some better controls with the railroad. We're not asking to take them over. We just want them to be fair with us on that. Now, a couple of the crossings are private crossings, and we can work with those, and they've been able to work with us, especially the port. But the BNSF and the UTs have been a little difficult.
Yeah, a lot more difficult. It just worries me, if we're gonna put that other, port in for the tourist ships, the traffic can't get any worse.
No, exactly.
I mean, it really can't.
Exactly. Well, and you really want to hear the sad side of it. The way it's been fixed up to this point is that it requires the local taxpayers and the state taxpayers to come in and put overpasses in. And that's not cheap and easy for anyone.
No, it's not.
So, you know, all we're asking is for some restrictions on when and where they cross.
When they come, and
Exactly.
to be
Oh,
at least
I
a little
guarantee you.
dependable.
I think it's on their schedule. It's whenever I'm on Harborside. I agree with you totally.
Yeah, short term, I'm not sure what we do efficient. Long term, we do have it on TxDOT's. This has been short of an act of Congress, but it's been difficult to get on TxDOT's screen a flyover from I-45 to Harborside over those railroad tracks. And we've been preaching for a long time that if the Pelican Island Bridge should really be from Pelican Island to I-45. And that's Pelican Bridge improvements, that's Harborside improvements, elevation, flooding, all the issues along Harborside, west of 51st Street, and a flyover to I-45. We finally have the flyover on TxDOT's radar screen. They will begin to do some preliminary engineering schematics and stuff. That's not going to solve our problem here in the next 4 or 5 years, but at least we keep pushing, we may get that project done.
Thank you, Tricia.
Hello, I'm Carol Langston, and I'm so glad that you're here tonight. And I have an audience participation question. How many of you are a pet owner, a dog owner? Raise your hands. Well, I am the proud mama of the 2 most adorable fur babies in Galveston. And I have a happy question for you. I know Galveston has some great dog parks, but I do believe that they could be a little bit better. What are the plans for Galveston's dog parks? Is there any opportunity for any grant funding, any private fundraising, anything that we could do here in Galveston to lift our dog parks up to the level of the other communities in our Gulf Coast region, in the state of Texas, because our little fur babies deserve the very best parks possible.
Yeah, I encourage you to go out to Glendale and look at what one person can do. And what Colin did out there at Glendale Park with the agility course for the dogs. And we've doubled the size of that dog park out there, and we're continuing to grow. Of course, we can't lose focus on the kids. We love our dogs, but we got to make sure the kids have places to go to. you know, when we talk about the general fund being under strain, the things that you pay for with your tax dollars, the things you pay tax for, police, fire, EMS, parks, and streets. So as that gets squeezed, the one thing none of us want to do is to reduce public safety, right? So I can tell you, legislation, Representative Middleton didn't wake up yesterday. It's in there. We can't cut the police department, rightly so. But what's going to get squeezed are those things like you're asking for.
But I think truly for Galveston to really take it to the next level, we have to address the quality of life issues, don't we? We have to address those amenities like dog parks, like recreational opportunities, and we can't, I mean, I know we have a lot of things here on the island that are tourism oriented, but we do have to provide our residents with adequate opportunities for not only our pets, but for our children and ourselves.
It's a balance, and it's going to be a balance until it's not. We're doing our best to do that. We've got dog parks being discussed right now in a couple locations. Dog parks are not that expensive to put in.
No, they're not.
But they take land, and that's the one thing that we don't have a whole lot of in Galveston. So we're working that. Trust me when I tell you, I don't have a discussion with Councilmember Cole that doesn't involve dog parks or trees.
Thank you. Councilmember Cole.
And I can tell you 2 or 3 other things that she's just totally adamant about.
I'm totally voting for her. I don't know if she's in my district, but I'm voting for her.
Just vote twice.
I'll do it. But anyway, thank you so much, and I do appreciate all you do for us, and love Galveston, and love everything the city does, and it is a wonderful place to live, work, and play.
Thank you. There's 3 opportunities that we're looking at how we incorporate dog parks and those types of amenities. We've got Shield Park and Gus Allen Park on the north side of Broadway that are fixing to get on the fast track. We've got Jones Park, and we've got, we're working to much like we did the 53rd Street complex for the Little League, we're looking to do that whole airport recreation complex. Little League, Lassie League, softball, ball, tag, college. We're looking at that whole area. Somewhere, the dog park will end up in the west end. The dog park will end up on the north side of Broadway.
Y'all ready for it?
Yes.
Raymond Rue, my name. The best thing I seen y'all do was on Hertz Lane, when y'all put that second lane where they can turn. So, that's good. But I don't even get out of my house on the weekends to go from the beach. I think y'all need to do that with 61st Street. Put 2 lanes where they can turn. Because you only got one, and a car wanted to get in that lane, almost run into it, almost had a wreck.
Jump by going south.
Yeah, going back. No, going back north.
We have 2 lanes turning north.
Not on the beach. Not on the beach,
On
on
the beach.
61st, right.
No.
Oh, that traffic backs up way.
No, and we've got TxDOT working, that's not our highway, that's not our street. So we're working with TxDOT on that, we met with them yesterday, as a matter of fact. And we're trying to get signal phasing done with there, we're trying to get them to turn 2 lanes. But they have a concern, it's a legitimate concern, we're turning them into what? You try to get down your neighborhood, you can't get on 61st Street. So that becomes the problem. We could have 10 lanes turning on 61st. If 61st didn't move, and it's still going to back up. But they heard that suggestion. They're working on it. They're trying to get 2 lanes turning off 61st Street going west, which works sometimes until it backs up. And we're getting, this is all Kelly DeShawn's fault. She's doing a damn good job. And we're trying to get 2 lanes coming back out for the mass exodus that occurs when West Beach empties out.
Yeah,
So
that's
TxDOT's got that on their radar. Now, TxDOT's radar is a little farther out than ours is, but they're working on that. And just so you know, when we talk about what TxDOT's planning, how many of y'all enjoy driving through around the 646 area right now? Well, the good news is it's coming to you in about 10 years. They're actually marching all the way down 45, and that's going to be an entirely new highway all the way down. And we're pushing them that all these improvements need to come with that. Because if you make it that much, you can open it up all day long, but if you're going to dead end them on 61st and Broadway, or in Ms. Grosso's neighborhood, that's not going to improve things. So we're trying to push them on a shielded turn lane on 61st Street. We're trying to get them on 61st and Broadway. We're trying to get them to do a dual turn lane on the 61st and Seawall. Same thing with 61st and Seawall turning back on the Hertz or 61st. We meet with TxDOT more now than we ever have. They're our partners, and we're glad they're helping us. But even their guys are getting a little baffled now with how we can handle all this traffic.
How about when the traffic's flowing down north, getting out of Galveston? Just draw around and close one lane and no light, and they can just keep on going and get out of Galveston.
Talking about on the,
Coming down 61st,
well, that, you mean,
turn around, like go up on the,
yeah, except that blocks all the residents that are trying to go the other way. We're trying to balance that out as best as we can. Same thing with Broadway. I get that question all the time. Just turn the damn lights green and get everybody down Broadway at 5 o'clock every day. Well, that's great, except we trap everybody in the center of town because they can't get out. So we have to have some balance to get through there. But right now, we're working on new signals on 61st Street that are going to be smarter signals that sense that when the traffic's going, it's going to open it up and let it flow. So you may get, but you got to remember, there's really only 3 ways. If you take where we live, Mr. Root's my neighbor, there's only 3 ways to get east. That's Herds Lane and Stewart Road. Herds Lane and Stewart Road are basically the same street. They just got a little neighborhood in between. And then you've got the seawall. Well, as Mr. Root, as all good Galvestonians know, we'll go to seawall. So that leaves us with Stewart and Herds, and we've got to have access across those streets because that's the only way my parents are going to get to church.
I'd like to bring up something else on Stewart Road. In my subdivision, they had money to fix them streets all up in that subdivision, and y'all had an election, and they took that money out of there to build Stewart Road. And I just want to know, are they working on that subdivision?
Yeah, your
There's
streets
got a
are-
lot of potholes,
No,
man, I have to get my front end line.
Bo Lair and Chantilly and Mr. Hocker Smith is the second from the end. He'll be glad to give you the exact schedule. Their schedule will be paid. And I know, Mr. Rowe, I don't know where you got your information from, but Stewart Road was paid for 100% by the county of Galveston. Your streets were never taken out of that money.
Well, I've been living here all my life, and somebody told me that. Just letting y'all
I
know.
hope they bought your coffee.
They made a lot of money on that street, I know that.
My name is Charles Wiley. Mr. Mayor and Mr. Maxwell, we appreciate you doing this tonight. I know how much work it takes to put together an event like this. So thank you for that. I think I represent a growing interest over the last week or so of folks that would like very much to see the USS Texas move to Galveston. I don't think that there's an effort being made right now. I think there's a lot of talk about it. It may be that you're working on something to do that, but I believe that would be an excellent addition to the tourism portfolio of Galveston. And I'd really like to see us be out in front on that, if that's at all possible. Again, thank you for what
No, Chief, thank you. And thank you for bringing Tilly tonight. We met with the Battleship Texas folks the other night, had about a 2.5-hour meeting here. The state very generously has given them $35 million to restore the ship. The ship's literally collapsing on itself. Some very brave men are going to sail that ship to Alabama to get it fixed. We'll see how that goes. They talked to us about bringing it to Galveston. Actually, the first conversation we've actually had with them. In my mind, the perfect fit for that is Seawolf Park. And really wasn't what they thought. They kind of wanted to just slam that baby right up at the cruise terminal and call it a day. We're working with them. And the one thing we don't want to do, though, is we're looking for partners, not dependents. And they've got $35 million to fix that ship, but they have no money to build a berth. And they really don't have they have some long-term maintenance plans for the ship, but they want to keep the ship floating. They do not want it permanently moored on land or what we've done at Seawolf Park. I think it's going to cost them more than $35 million to do something with the ship, whether they float it or whether they put it on land. That's without saying. And the state has told them that this is it. We're giving you $35 million in tax dollars to fix this ship, but the foundation has to take it and run with it from here. The city is extremely interested in having the Battleship Texas here. It had 40,000 visitors where it's at now. And I don't know, how many of you have been to the Battleship Texas lately? It's not a real pretty drive. getting to there, and you have to kind of turn between two refineries and go back. And contrary to what the legislator said from report, we have tourism year-round here, not just in the summer months. Ms. Grasso would be my witness on this. We would love to have it here. However, I don't think that at this point they're even close to deciding where they want to take it. The biggest thing, and I've talked to Roger about it over at the port, Mr. Reese, is finding a place to put it. They want it on the Galveston side. This ship is 600 plus feet long. It's not going to fit where the Illicit is. It's not going to fit the little marina next to where Willie G's is. It's going to take up a full berth that we use to make money at the port. So we're going to have to work with them. Again, we talked to them about Seawolf Park. We strongly recommend Seawolf Park. We don't own the dock or the water space around Seawolf Park. The Port of Houston does. We've offered to go to the Port of Houston and talk to them about that and try to make it happen. Tony Brown is so excited. He's got a sailor suit. He wants to sail on the battleship. He was there at the meeting with us. But we're going to do our best to try to get it to Galveston. But we're also not going to cripple the residents here from having to pay to sustain it forever. The ship needs to sustain itself. They are looking for 300,000 visitors a year. That's what it's going to take. 300,000 visitors through the turnstile to support the ship. And that does not include the cost of the berth. So there's a lot of work to be done, and that we've got about a year and a half to work out a plan with, for them to work out a plan with somebody. And I think it's going to be longer than a year and a half. I was old enough to remember when my dad took me over to Todd Shipyard when he worked there when it was on the dry dock here. And I'm not going to tell you, 30 years ago, there was no bottom on that ship then. Todd did a great job of patching it up. It was actually one of the death knells to Todd was working on that ship. It damn near broke the company on a low bid type deal. And that repair, and at that point they didn't know what they were going to do with the ship after that either. They took it back and they sat it up in the mud, and here we are again. So it's a beautiful ship. We'd love to have it, but again,
this topic is key. There's a fundamental shift going on right in this topic. I can assure you, 10 years ago, we was going out there and getting the damn port property to get the battleship Texas here. We analyzed whether it was a good deal or not for the city. It glittered, it was gold, let's go get it. Now you hear the conversation. We may get the battleship Texas here. I'm going to be arrogant. We can do more for them than they can do for us. If they get 40,000 visitors where they are, we got 7 million plus coming here. So we got more to add than they do. We may do it, but they're going to do it on our terms. Amen. If they don't do it on our terms, they're going to walk us. Yeah. That's no problem. If we're going to lose a sleep or a hotel room. So that's the fundamental shift that's going on in the city. We now have our hands on the good end of the bat. We can swing for the home run. We don't have to just go chase something because, oh, we got to do economic development. We got to do something. This whole conversation, I mean, Kelly, I thought I was going to get run out of my first speech. My first speech in May of 14 was to the Hotel Lodging Association. And I said, we got too many tourists coming here. I thought they were going to care. But the conversation asked, we got 7 million tourists. Wouldn't it be nice to have 5 million to spend money like 7? Yes. Huh? Less traffic, less trash, so that you don't go to the end of the room and turn the switch on that conversation. That is a process. That's advertising. That's marketing. That's amenities. There's a whole package that goes into a shift on how we do things. It will take several years, many years to do that. But if you don't start, you never get there. So we're having that conversation. As we have that conversation, not all of our problems get solved, but some of the conversations we've had here tonight will begin to get better. And as you've heard me say a dozen times, in this business, you want incremental progress. You can't go 180-degree shifts in the public arena, folks. You got to take one step at a time.
I'm Troy Kempner, and you two guys.
Who are you?
A citizen. You two guys have been through the wars. I congratulate you on your survival skills. And I'm interested now in your longer-term view. For either of you, and actually for both of you, I'd like to know what you think the greatest opportunity that the city has in the next decade, and what the greatest problem the city will face in the next decade.
Well, I think the greatest opportunity we have, and I don't mean to hurt Kelly's feelings, but I think our greatest opportunity is the port. You know, I always laugh. We have all these beautiful Victorian homes on the east end of Galveston that we love, that my daughter would kill me to have one right now. And those are here because of our port. And that port is going to be where Galveston grows its economy. It's going to be where it grows our jobs. And right now, that's where we're getting a lot of our tourists from, guys. I mean, thousands and thousands, 20, 30,000 a weekend or a day are hitting those cruise ships, and more coming. So the port, I think, is our greatest opportunity. And that's where we need to continue our focus. Now, the city's role in that, you're going to say, well, that's the port. And you're right. The city's opportunity in that is making sure that we're ready for that growth. Are we ready for it to control the traffic? It's great. You know, I've heard we could have 9 cruise terminals. I think everybody says, man, that'd be great. And I think, where the hell are we going to put all these cars for nine cruise terminals? These are issues the city's got to plan for. And that's where we're going to have to keep it going. We've got to make sure these ships have water. We've got to make sure that they have ways to get the trucks in without running through the neighborhoods. So there's a lot that goes into it. That's going to be the city's role. I think the biggest threat to the city of Galveston is maybe our own success. As we continue to grow this kind of tourism, it's going to take a lot for a city to, and I'm going to say this as a true Aggie, we don't want to become Austin. And I don't mean that in a way, well, I do mean it. Nobody knows but there's, you know, I can tell you one of the fastest growing demographics in Galveston are people who are coming here from Austin. They like the vibe that Galveston has because that's what Austin used to have.
Yeah.
And, you know, until you go to Austin and you sit in traffic trying to get to the Capitol for a meeting in the morning, I mean, you try to get from Bastrop into Austin on Highway 71, that used to be a pretty picturesque drive. It's a freeway now and you're stuck on it. We don't want that. We want to grow smart. But you know what? We can't lose sight also of the importance of that tourism. We can't say we'll just get rid of the tourism. Because how many of you like to go to nice restaurants in Galveston? How many people like to go to Landry's? How many people like to go to Paco's? How many people like to... These are all places that would not be here if it weren't for tourism. So we get to enjoy that. You know, it's kind of like Avenue O and P. We love them. We're not going to tell anybody about it. We're just going to use them ourselves. But, so that's going to be our biggest threat, Shrub, as we go forward. And how we grow that. And, you know, and we talked about the revenue caps going forward. It's hard for a city like Galveston City or some of the cities out in Fort Bend and the other areas where they're just homes, you know, they spit the ground and homes pop up. That's not our case. We've got old homes here that need to be restored. We've got businesses that need to be rehabilitated. And right now, we don't get the benefit of that growth. It doesn't, from a tax perspective, those are going to be things that we want to happen, but we don't get the benefit because of the way the cap is structured. Somebody asked earlier, are we just going to go up there and try to torch this thing? No, I don't think we need to torch it. Nobody wants to pay taxes. I don't want to pay taxes. But what we need to do is we need to have it structured to where it doesn't just benefit fast growth cities. Right now, that new growth is not counted under that cap. Our new growth is about 1%. That's the odd guy that builds on a lot on the west end, that does a little bit of infill development in town. That's our 1%. Most of our stuff is all redevelopment, and that's going to be a challenge for us because redevelopment is something we want. But we have to be able to manage that because everything we redevelop puts people where that requires services for us. So that's going to be our biggest challenge, that and the tourism.
Shelby, I would agree with Brian on as far as our future, the best is the port. And happy to say that the port is now in the middle of putting together a master plan, land use plan for the first time in a long, long time. It goes back, you know, same conversation we just had about the selectivity. You know, Royal Caribbean will come here if they come under our terms. One of the things I was worried about when we had the conversation with Royal Caribbean early on is, you know, they're in a current cruise terminal. They're going to build a third one down the east end. What's going to happen to the one they vacate? Well, it became crystal clear to me there is a big demand from Norwegian and Disney and other carriers for that space. So we won't have any problem backfill. But again, we want Royal Caribbean. but we want them under terms and conditions that are favorable to the port and the city. And I'm very convinced that Roger Reese has been negotiating in that direction. And you've heard me say time and time again, I'm not a big believer, bigger is better. You know, to be quite honest with you, I would like to have conversations about 9 cruise ship terminals. You know, that is way too many. You know, we need to be the best we can be, whatever size we are. Town of 50,000, 55,000, 45,000, we need to be the best, and we need to be the best cruise ship operation. You know, I'd like to sit here and tell you that we're successful in the cruise ship business because our port is such great managers of the cruise ship business. You know, the reality is, our location is better than everybody else's. But that's no excuse not to sharpen our service and become the best we can be. That's the way you keep your customer, is when they're happy. And ain't Royal Caribbean who has to be happy, it's the person who's on that ship that has to be happy. And when we make their experience good, we'll sink those talent right on into them and keep them right here. So, port is definitely, the sky's the limit. Again, we're going to be in the same position at the port in a few years. Roger Reese and I see a vote with the help of both Roger Reese and Chairman O'Rourke.
Let me check my phones now.
You know, with both of them, they have different approaches, but they both want the port to do well. The port, folks, 5 years ago, you know, the port made in a year, they lost $250,000. Roger, what did we make last year? $7 million last year. You know, and all due respect to Roger Reese, I've been around him for the last year. He's no Harvard mental giant. You know, he hasn't had the meeting. He is a good, solid, common sense thinker. He hasn't done any more than just common sense, putting one foot in front of the other, making decisions, and the port's gone from literally $500,000 a year to $7 million. And we're a long way from having to be real smart over there. At some point we'll have to be, but we're not there yet. And so the future is good for the port's company. The risk, in my opinion, is the political environment. The focus or lack of focus, that changes. The way we're structured here, you've heard me say this before. Folks, Galveston's not structured for success. I mean, we're just not. We've got to make some changes to the charter. It's things we need to do fundamentally to change the way we govern ourselves. I'm a city manager, former government guy. I'm a strong mayor, former governor. Far from it. But we've got to do some things and Vision Galveston. When I close my remarks, I'll talk about Vision Galveston, why I think it's so important. But the lack of focus or the ability, there's a lot of rabbit trails running down Shelby, USS Texas, and 9 terminals, and there's all kind of things that can take your eye off the ball. Focus got to come right here from management. Political help's got to give you the backup and the stability, but it's the management that needs to focus.
Hi, my name is Susan Carradine, and I was raised here in Galveston. I'm just here on my mom's behalf. She lives over in the Jones Park area, and I've been calling, I don't know who enforces code, but I've been calling about the neighborhood, or especially in her street, because it's a dead-end street. And I called about trash that's there, you know, for city to pick up. Who enforces code? Because, you know, I've called about houses that have trash all over the place. And I've also called about suspicious activity in her street that's been going on too.
Susie, I encourage you to step over there. Michael Gray, he's the man at the star. He's not pumping gas tonight. He's actually the marshal, and he will take that up right away for you. And we'll get it squared away.
Raise your hand over here, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tell Doug he should have come tonight, but he should have made him do this by himself.
Yes, my name is J.J. Shabazz. I am a retired city employee, and I love Galveston almost as much as I love myself. But But I have a question in regards to possibilities. And my question is, what are the possibilities of us rebuilding or reestablishing another Little League Park on the north side of Broadway? Preferably Shields Park, but if not, just what are the possibilities of that? And I'll just sit down and wait for them.
Shabazz, it's good to see you. Talking straight, when you look at the demographics, the Little League age isn't north of Broadway anymore. And we've just invested a lot of money on 53rd Street. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be redoing the Little League fields at the airport. We are in the planning stages for Shield Park, which is where the Little League field used to be, over there on 33rd and Church. To be honest, I don't think we have a Little League Park planned in that facility. However, folks, you talk about a rebirth. Anybody been on the north of Broadway, west of 25th, lately? Huh? Remember how scared we were of them building the cedars and all that? And it's funny that the market rate units over there are 98% occupied with a waiting list longer than the public center. Have you seen the investment the city's making over there? Have you seen the infill that's happening in that Broadway area? It's exciting. Fat Cat, we got to roll it fast enough, it ain't gonna stop now. It's gonna roll downhill real good. And but I don't think we've got a Little League Park, at least on the near term, in the North Broadway. But Shield Park, people don't realize, you take Garden Grind off of Kipper Park, Shield Park same size as Kipper Park. You go look at the differences. I promise you, in a couple of years, Shield Park's going to be second to none. And that'll complement what's going on with the Falstaff building, that I love Jerome Karen was doing. That'll complement some of the other programs we've got going on over there.
That's thanks to Better Parks.
And that's Better Parks. I don't know if they're here tonight, but Better Parks has been a great partner. Absolutely.
I'm the canteen. I appreciate your leadership, and I know you appreciate this kind of participation from the citizens of Galveston. My question is, I really appreciate all the political subdivisions who came together to realize the importance of the economic opportunities of Pelican Island. The city, the county, HGAC, TxDOT, all coming together. With recent developments, how stymied are we on that project, and what do you see as the future?
I told the general, I don't know how you got here across that rickety bridge. I don't know. Kind of scary.
Armin, I don't know. It's disheartening, obviously. I mean, I understand from man's perspective. I mean, you know, if you got a choice, you don't want a highway running through your campus. You know, the other side of that is, you know, I don't want something running down my street. I pay for it, you know. And a lot of complications to that. There's a lot of egos that have been bruised, and they're pulling their head back and saying, I'm done. That's a normal short-term reaction. Pelican Island Bridge will eventually get done because it has to. There will be delays that will cost more money. I mean, just in the 3 or 4 years, first 2 years I was an offsite in food with Pelican Island Bridge because somebody else was dealing with it, and I had enough other issues that I thought were important to initiate. But just in the 3 years that I've been actively involved in it, the price tag's gone up 25%. And so whatever happens will cost more money. It'll eventually happen. We had this conversation with the court the other day. We're working on the support master plan, right? We got port property on the Galveston side. We got port property over on the Pelican side. We're actually the smaller player on the Pelican side. Port of Houston's a big behemoth over there. And I know there's comments from time to time, why didn't Port of Houston play? Well, we've asked them. You know, they're not going to play. They bought that for defensive measures, just to keep the Port of Galveston from doing anything. My attitude on Pelican Island is, hey, we have limited resources here. We don't have enough money to invest in the Galveston side of the docks, much less Galveston and Pelican, where we have no infrastructure over there other than some nice 85 acres of raw land. My attitude is, hey, let's invest our money on the Galveston side, let the Pelican side be a prime opportunity for public-private partnership opportunities. If we've got somebody who wants to come to the table, let them negotiate with the Port of Houston and the Port of Galveston to, if land is needed from both ports. Let the private sector, who can do that much better than we can. So I don't see any immediate spur and activity over there. In this conversations, you know, maybe the 85 acres is a good place to park cruise cars. When you get them in a van, whether you get a van on 29th and Market or Harborside Drive. You know, I want a van in like 3,000 cars run through their campus instead of a few big trucks. You know, there's all kinds of things being talked about. But we'll get it done, and it will be a partner before it's over. There'll be a key to help getting it done. And I think they realize that they are they did what they thought they had to do for their institutions, and I'm fully understanding of that. But with that comes responsibility to step up to the table. And the ultimate result, the best thing that could happen as a result of that delay is what ought to happen. TxDOT ought to own that bridge. It ought to be a TxDOT facility, not a local facility. They're spending money right now, almost $10 million, fixing stuff under the water that you don't even see on a bridge they don't own. So they're treating it like it's theirs now. Maybe with A&M's help and this little delay, we'll have time to further those conversations at the right level, which is at the commission and the governor level, and get that done. And then this little delay will be a blessing.
You talking about the Mays Middleton Bridge?
Mays Middleton Bridge, yes, sir.
Maybe he'll kick it. Good evening. Thank you for doing this for us. My name is Jerry Kinnear, and I would like to ask you about the last couple of years you all have been doing an asset review of the city, the park board, and the port. And I don't know what decisions have come of that, but I was just wondering if you could enlighten us, please, and thanks.
Thanks, Jerry. What Jerry's referring to is, we'll lose track of time. 2 years ago, the city started working on what we call an asset review. I hope everybody in the room knows that the majority of the assets that the park board manages are city assets. Delmare Park, Stewart Beach, Seawolf, East Lagoon, East Beach. You know, a lot of those are city facilities. The port, they own very little. They may own a parking lot or something now, but basically all the property on the harbor side back to the bay there, the ship channel, is city of Galveston property. Those are your assets. And we're having the, you know, anytime you start touching turf, it sure gets pretty exciting. And we probably didn't do a good job. I don't want anybody to think that an asset review is a one-time project. You know, you don't review your portfolio and your assets one time and forget it until you die. You review it constantly. Some people do it more often than others, but you review what you have and how you manage it and how you deal with it on a frequent basis. So this will be an ongoing process. You're going to see City Council this month, 2 pieces of property. One at 26 and Q&A, the old EMS station. That's going to the new fire station. Part of our asset review said, hey, we need to sell that. You're going to see the old fire station on 51st and R and 50th Street. We're going to be utilizing that. We're going to put that up for sale. We're going to come to council with the appraisals and with the motion to try to sell those 2 properties. There's a lot of, and again, I've been called lots of things over my 30 years of public business. I've never been called a hypocrite. I'm not going to ask somebody else to do something we're not already doing. And so, where's Jerry here? I lost track of her. Yeah, Jerry. Most of what we've been doing has been trying to do an internal review. And that's, you know, we had Jones Park, we had Gus Allen Park on the ballot to sell. We thought that was the right thing as a result of the asset review. The citizens didn't agree with that. Now we're moving them into incorporating them into park plans. We've got a number of properties out there on the west end that we acquired after Ike with a quote buyout program. They're not being managed. They're just, we didn't have a good list of all the real property we owned 4 years ago. We now have a good inventory of all the property we own, and we have insurance on it when it's appropriate. You know, we're just managing. And so You're gonna see some public workshops later in the year. You're gonna see some of it come up in the conversation on Kelly, and Kelly's tired of meeting, and so is the city. I mean, we've been meeting with the park board for a long time on how do we manage Del Nare Park. Del Nare Parks, everybody know where Del Nare Park is, right? Didn't see one? Okay. What do you as a citizen get out of it? So we need to look at how we manage it. This might be a good pilot project. The park board is managing it. Nothing wrong with what they're doing. We're just not getting any benefit. You're not getting any benefit. Maybe we ought to put that out to a third party. Let somebody else put an RV park in there. Maybe we can get some income off of it. You know, I want to analyze those options. Some of them we analyze on paper. Say, that's a crappy idea. How do you think of that? You know, some of them have to pass the muster after you tabletop them and say, yeah, that may make some sense. Let's try that. I'm the first to say, hey, if we try something that doesn't work, go back and do it again. The worst thing you can do is make a decision, let your ego get in the way, and never change because you made the decision to do something. That's stupid. So it's an ongoing process here. We're going to have workshops later in the year. We're having those conversations with Roger Reese as we speak. I think the biggest part of the park board is going to come up with the agreement that we have sometime, hopefully, before the end of the fiscal year, sometime in September. But then there's a phase 2 of it. Everybody know where Boddicker Drive is? You know where East End Lagoon is? You come off C1, you come down Boddicker Drive, and pretty much everything to the right side or the west side, I call it the west side, probably not, but the west side, north side of Boddicker Drive, that's that East End Lagoon. The park board via contract manages that. You know that property on the other side, back toward the jetty, back toward the channel? That's all owned by the city. The city manages that. You know? Park board manages East End Lagoon. Park board manages East Beach and all the activities there. I was just sitting over there managing this little strip of property over here that we're really not doing too good a job of management. It looks like hell, you know, it's a liability. We might be able to make some money out of it. They're already down there cleaning the beaches and emptying trash cans and stuff. All they do. So it's a two-way street. We're looking to see what we are doing that somebody else can better manage as well.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Marty Fluke, and I hope you'll entertain a non-traffic question this evening. So, as you know, my favorite subject is water. Have we made any progress on getting a representative from the city of Galveston on the Gulf Coast Water Authority board?
No, that would be it. That's the answer. However, I will tell you that the Gulf.
I'll ask that question again next year.
Yeah.
Well, you know, again, Marty, people's memories are short. You know?
Yeah.
It used to be the Galveston County Water Authority. And you, the people in Galveston, when you were the dominant city in the county, paid for a lot of the improvements in the water rights that the Galveston County Water Authority owned. Well, here comes Brazoria County and Fort Bend County later to the game, and now they changed it to the Gulf Coast Water Authority. They don't have any investment in those assets. They just come in and take them and get to share the benefits. And they have all the representation. We used to have a member, but the legislature, pre-Middleton, legislature changed. We don't have a representative anymore. And you're exactly right.
Are there any other questions that anyone has? Our line has been depleted. Gentlemen, do you want to do a wrap-up?
Just real quick.
Thanks, Maureen. Appreciate it. This is your 6th year doing this, I believe.
Yes, it is.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of things in life that make you feel good. If you really want to feel special, you know that Maureen chose to be here with us tonight instead of being in an Astros game. Not gonna say a whole lot. I thank y'all for coming. These type of things are very important to us. And there's no question that's too hard. There's none that I can't answer. I can't make up an answer, as I said earlier. We'll do our best to get you what you need. I encourage each and every one of you, before you leave, visit these tables at the end if you have even the slightest city issue. You know, these guys, I hear it all the time, man, I hate to have to listen to all this. Let me tell you something. The people that sit at these tables are what make it easy. They are true professionals. This is one of the best city staffs this city has ever had.
And before I sit down and shut up, because that's the one thing I've learned, that this makes this evening really special, is for us to listen and not talk. I want to tell everybody how much I appreciate the service that Michael Gray has given the city of Galveston. You live by, as Maureen loves baseball, you live by the stats. He has taken code enforcement to a whole new level. So some of you in here may actually be really glad to see him go. But for the most part, I think we're really going to miss him. It's going to be a challenge to figure out who replaces Michael to keep that momentum going. He has quadrupled our number of cases that we filed on code enforcement. But we're going to miss Michael. He's going to Colorado because he can't take the heat. But we're happy for him that he's going to be happy. But again, I encourage each of you, visit these tables, ask them questions, or even give them suggestions. These are the important things that we need to hear from you. The city can only get better if we know what's wrong and we know what you want. And that's what, we're not here to try to figure out ways to not give you the things you want. We are here to try to figure out how to get this, how to make Galveston the best place in Texas to live and to visit. I think we're pretty damn close to being there already, but we can only make it better, and we need your help. And thank y'all for coming.
Well, the bad news is we run a little ahead of schedule, which gives me a lot more time. Amen. Let me try to close out. I have enjoyed being mayor of Galveston for the last 5 years. I really, and part of the reason I have enjoyed it is because I have enjoyed working with the people that I get to work with. Not only the city council and the staff, with Brian, because I've worked with Brian way too long, but all these other people you see. There's a bunch of folks here who are under their management that are just top-quality people. And I have enjoyed it every day. Let's don't forget the little things. You can see on the screen, we all know about the community pool and the Little League field and every street in town getting repaved and more to come. How many of you remember the old sagging banner that ran across Broadway on 56? Huh? It's the little things in life. Those are the things you can't take for granted. How many of you can remember coming to the causeway and half the lights on the causeway weren't working? And then you come down Broadway and there's so many dark spots on Broadway. I may keep you here at 8:30 for you to go down Broadway. Go down Broadway some night. We have now LED new lights from 59th to 6th Street. How many of you remember coming across the causeway and we saw those beautiful Galveston weeds right in between the two sides of the highway? You come down there today, you got nice dwarf oleanders that are 5 foot tall. We're making a difference. We really are. The thing I'm most proud of is not all these things that can be done. People can do that stuff. We haven't had any scandals. We haven't had any embezzlements. We haven't had any visit from the district attorney. And why? You got good people running the city. That's where it starts. And I'm most proud that we haven't had any of those problems. As most of you know, I'm an organizational freak.
No.
I like to think. I like my desk clean too, don't I, sir? I've been putting up some campaign files out of my regular file cabinet over to storage. And just for grins, I pulled out 2014 campaign deal. And I look back, when I ran for office, I told you I'd do 4 things. I told you, I wrote them down, it's exactly how I'm on my notes. Bring civility, professionalism, and a positive working environment to City Hall. Anybody remember 6 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Huh? Yeah, we've got short memories, but don't forget, things can turn that quick. We've done that. The second thing I told you, remember 6 years ago, 2014, 5 years ago, I guess, we had an interim city manager. They had fired the last full-time city manager. So I told you we would work to hire a quality city manager to run the city.
He tried.
We tried, that's what we ended up with, but we did pretty damn good, I'd say that. All I can say is the city's equal opportunity employee, hire and We do our job, Colonel and General. The third thing that was frustrating to me some 5 years ago that I told you we would do, folks, have you ever been to a political rally over the last 20 years where you didn't hear a candidate for city council or a candidate for mayor tell you they're going to fix the infrastructure? Have you ever heard politicians tell you they're going to work on infrastructure? Well, 5 years ago, you get in office and we got a pile of FEMA money. We got a pile of non-housing CDBG money. We got a pile of money from the set aside, the old Greenberg penny that keeps going up. This provides a cap this year. We had money. We got design. We got people who say they want to build roads and water and sewer and upgrade our infrastructure. Why wasn't it getting done? In my humble opinion, they didn't know how. And building infrastructure doesn't start with just putting money out there and say, hey, Mr. Cook, go fix that plumbing line. It starts with design and engineering and procurement and all the things. If you make a mistake on one, you got to start all over. It's the public arena. Folks, Mr. Maxwell and company have fine-tuned the system. Blackbeard and others here that's cranking out. Our procurement officers, we bid things out. We have flexibility that if we want to do this or do that, we don't have to rebid it. We bid it as an ad hoc, but there's lots of little tricks to the trade we've employed. And by God, when I said we take action to implement some money we already had, I said we've done that too. The fourth thing I said, we clean this city up. Brian just talked to you about our code enforcement efforts with Michael Gray. It ain't perfect. We've got one problem. We've got a lady here today that's got trash and problems that she can't get resolved. We've got a dilapidated house anywhere in town. That's one too many. Yeah. But I'm telling you, we've got less today than we've had any time in my life. It's getting better. It ain't perfect. So we clean the city. Remember you drive around town? How many telephone poles did you drive by that had a "I'll buy your house" or something stapled onto the telephone pole? Huh? Or little signs in the right of way, yard sale tomorrow. You know what? 4 or 5 years you come to this event, we're gonna be in the same damn spot we are right now. Or we've got something different. This is where good leadership. Unfortunately, I guess fortunately for me, I won't be here in this position. So, but you know what we ought to do? I ought to say, hey, there's 77 things here. There's 5 or 6 of them I don't like. There's 70 of them that I agree with. Let's work on the 70 things we agree on. Let's put our muscle behind the things we agree on what needs to be done and projects that need to be worthy to support. I promise you, if we have good leadership at the city, we work on these 70 things we agree with, good leadership will sprinkle the half a dozen things that are contentious into the mix over time. You won't even know it. It just will happen. So let's work on the stuff. And their process, again, I don't want to be disrespectful to them, but it wasn't Harvard-esque either. They didn't do anything just so smart that nobody else thought of. Most of what they come up with, we've been talking about somewhere along the round, some part of it. Somebody's doing part of it already. Some of it's new stuff, and that's because they got 8,000 people. When you get 8,000 people, you'll get new ideas. So, let's don't tear it apart when we hadn't seen it. Let's don't tear it apart because we don't like a small portion of it. There's enough things that we can all muscle behind and get behind. And these are the type of things that will help us through the political waves. The way we're set up every 2 years, you have a whole new direction. You get started all 6, 7 council people. You don't like what's happening, run them all. That's not healthy, but that's what we got. So this, having a plan, having a vision, this is something that's focused on Shrubby. You're never going to eliminate politics in the world. It's always, we're in a political environment. That's by definition what we do. If you start having plans, and you start having buy-in from the community, you start having common goals, the politicians will stay like sunset. They're not going to mess with you. They'll be their idea. So, that, I don't know if that squares up where I am on Vision Galveston, but I think it's important. I think it's good. Finally, I want to thank my wife. She's here tonight. She is not political. She, I just feel that we enjoy doing something completely outside the public arena. But we've been married 41 years. She's let me do it because she knows I always think I can make something better. And she's allowed me to do it. A lot of less than pleasant phone calls come into the house. A lot of time spent out at meetings and things like this that take me away from other things that we would like to do. So Ms. Carol, thank you for being behind me 100% for not just the last 30 years, but the last 41 years. And we'll be Galvestonian forever. I got to stand up to here. I'm not leaving. So we'll continue to help in other ways, but it's been great being here, Mayor. I appreciate you letting me serve. And as I said at the very beginning, the state of the city of Galveston is better, good, and getting better. Thank y'all for coming.